ramps or jack stands. Oh man, I'm not crawling under that thing again right now, but I am curious if it's got that same, it's got a, okay, yeah, it's a 4-link in the rear. So there's upper link and a lower link, and then there's got to be a track bar. Oh, this video is supposed to be like 5 minutes. So yeah, we've got the Panhard bar or Watts link, full size spare, same size tire. Oh man, it is hot in Hemet and San Jacinto today. Let's see. Well, I'm gonna pop the hood. Even though half the engine is under the dashboard, I'm already videoing and I already got the light on. What the hell's that? Oh, that's to turn on the outlet in the bed. Oh, that's cool. I still can't think of what that would be. I wonder if those two things on each side are some type of actuators for a step, a retracting step. So, well, this is kind of cool that I didn't know about until I did a little research. So this has an active ram air. So somewhere in here there's duct work. So it doesn't really need a cold air intake, because this is ducted up under the front cowling and horse support somehow. So, because what I was telling people, which was odd, so you can see this duct work. Here's the bottom of the air box, and it goes all the way through and up top here. So it's literally sucking cold air in from in front of the radiator and air conditioning condenser and tranny cooler, and there's like so many coolers on this. But so I don't need to bother with, I'm going to put a K&N on it, of course, because I do on everything. But hey, there's a little Heisenberg from Breaking Bad. I just need to put a top hat on him. Oh, and I don't know if that's a stainless steel brake booster. Not used to seeing that. We've got a whole other accessory option through the firewall for something that this doesn't have, which is probably when I put the wheel lift on the back of this, I'll probably run my remote and power through there. But yeah, here's the engine. So basically the front of the engine, let's say the front of the intake, so there's, my wheels are turned, but so the front of the intake is literally right over the axle. I think honestly the water pump might be just ahead of the axle, and the alternator is just in front, just above the front pumpkin. So this truck is balanced really good. I guess the diesel versions of the 2500 heavy duty, I guess they don't make a Power Wagon, they make a Rebel, I think, that's diesel, but they can't have the winch, because the winch literally sits under here. I don't know if I'm getting a picture of it or not, but the winch sits directly under the radiator and the fan shroud, which the fan shroud kind of reminds me of the fan shroud on a older 70s Monte Carlo, because here's the fan and then here's the radiator. So if this thing ever got hit in the front, other than the shroud hitting some of the belts and accessories, that fan literally has almost a foot of space between where the radiator core is, because this is the actual radiator tank, the core is actually up in there quite a bit. So, I mean, the way this truck is built, it's built kind of like a sports car. The motor's really far back. I guess to people who don't know Hemis, I don't know about all Hemis that were ever built, but this is a V8, 392 6.4 liter, but it's got 2 spark plugs per cylinder. So it's literally 16 spark plugs for a V8 engine. And it goes way back there. So there's bank 1, 2, 3, and 4 is way back there. So for such a big engine in a large truck, it really does sit back pretty far. So, and what I was saying about the intake, I'm curious what kind of air filter it has in it, because this doesn't have a supercharger. It's the same size motor that's in like a Hellcat or an RT Charger or whatever ones come with the 392, and doesn't have a supercharger on it, but it sounds like one. When you get on the gas, I mean, that intake sound has, maybe one of these times when I record, I want to record a top speed run on this eventually, because I do that on all my cars. And from the written word, or at least on the internet and every place else I've looked, this truck's supposed to do 147 miles an hour on the limiter, and that's with 33-inch tires. So can you imagine if it doesn't have that's cool, if it doesn't have any way to compensate or be aware of, oh yeah, so I was going to show you, this hood is so light. Those struts aren't even that heavy, but this is, I mean, it's actually really light fiberglass. It's just got, I'm sure it has a honeycomb up in there, but you can see how thin it is, and that is not metal. So, ooh. But that's a big piece of glass. So if it'll do 147 stock with 33s on it, if I put 40s on it, I'm probably going to have a speedometer error of at least, I would say, about 7 miles an hour per 10 miles an hour. Because I don't think this has any type of GPS speed sensing stuff in it. I could, but I know on my Crown Victoria, the Mad Max one, it came with, well, I don't know what the actual, oh shit. I've got tires over here that are actually from a Crown Victoria. Anyways, the gear ratio on this is lower than the diesel and the gasoline Rebel. This one I think has 410s or 411s. And let's see what size tire a Crown Victoria originally comes with. I can see it. So it's a pt.2 55 R17. So you tire buffs can figure that out in your head, but I'm thinking that's maybe a 29-inch or a 30, it might not even be that big, inch tire. And now I'm running 31s on my Crown Victoria Mad Max car, and its speedometer error is literally like 10 miles to 12 miles an hour off. I literally took the cluster apart and pulled the needle off and moved it back. I left the glass off of the cluster and moved the needle back from 0 in increments of 3 until I matched the GPS with the actual speedometer on there, because they're calibrated speedometers, but I had completely the wrong size tire on it. So I literally had to put the speedometer back 10 to 12 miles per hour below zero. And then now it's accurate, but it's still, there's a speedometer error because the tires are larger than the car's geared for. But if this is accurate, which I don't know yet because I haven't put a GPS in it, if this is accurate 2 miles per hour by the calibration for 33s, and I go up to a 40, 50 miles an hour is probably gonna show maybe 40 miles an hour on the odometer or speedometer, unless I have to, I'm probably gonna have to remap it or do some type of calibration. But if I don't, and I just know what it is, that means the 147 limited PCM and computer control module speed is gonna be out the window, and it'll probably be able to do like 157 to 160 with 40-inch tires. Now, considering it's got the aerodynamics of a school bus, I don't know if it'll actually pull that off, but especially with a leveling kit on the front. But anyways, that's probably, might be a lot of information you guys wanted to hear, might be stuff that you don't even care about, but I'm learning myself. So other than that, got the marker lights on the top. I basically got every modification or add-on on this truck, including the high-speed wipers, that I would have put on my old Dodge just to bring it up to snuff, because I was gonna kind of retrofit everything to modern. Backup camera, LED lights throughout. I couldn't make it four-wheel drive, but I was gonna put a 6-speed stick in it instead of the auto because I hate it. And then I've already got a GPS in it, an inverter, but you know, and I've got tow mirrors, and I was gonna put bigger tires on it and a lift, and put 37s on it. Well, now I'm just gonna put these wheels and tires on the 04, because I don't like this rim style exactly. And I'm still curious if there's a unlockable hub or a manually locking hub inside of here, which wouldn't surprise me if there was. I'd be really impressed if there wasn't, because not impressed, I'd be, well, depressed, or I'd be happy to know that this had a locker, manually locking hub in there, because one of the things I really wanted for transport, towing, and maneuvering, and even for recovery, is to back in a fifth wheel trailer in 4-low with an open differential in the rear and not have the front wheels driven, because I literally just want the compound low to be able to make slower, more controlled maneuvering. Or if I'm backing up a very steep incline, I'm not just cooking the transmission by, you know, just torquing through the converter and clutches. If I had it in 4-low and had the option of having the front axle disconnected from locking hubs not being engaged, then I would have 4-low 2-wheel drive, and if I needed more traction, I've got the lockers. So that was one of the main things with my diesel Dodge, is that it's got bigger tires in stock, and I hate the gear ratio of the reverse. What was I gonna do? But if it had a 6-speed, it would have a lower ratioed reverse. And then of course I would have the reliability and durability of the standard transmission. But you can't get anything with a standard transmission anymore. So I mean, a Power Wagon with a 6-speed and either the 396 gas or a 6-speed or even 8-speed with the Cummins. I mean, can you imagine how many conversions you would have of Ford and Chevy fans? That would definitely give a Ram diesel Cummins with a 6 or 8-speed manual a shot, whether it was 4-wheel drive or not. That's just an auto enthusiast dream, to have all that torque control and functionality with the availability of all those different gear ratios would be just unreal. So, oh, and that's the other thing. I'm taking the muffler. This is the resonator. I'm going to leave it. But the muffler is actually nice because it's a bolt-on. It's got strap clamps on the front and back. So I can just replace the muffler with a piece of stainless tubing of the same diameter. And I have the resonator and the catalytic converters to kind of bring down the sound level. And I think it would really wake the truck up, for one. And that with the Can-N filter, it already has like a ram air type intake, and exhaust a little less restrictive, would help a little bit with me going from a 33, which this thing should have come with 35s regardless. These are just a ridiculous size for this truck. I mean, look at it. If it had air rides on it, even just in the back, if it had airbags, it actually, but we'll talk about that in a minute.